Welcome to the 40th episode. This one will be less adrenaline-packed than the last two videos. Man, I'm still recovering. Instead, consider this an establishing video, a status update. Let's dive in. Sharp-eyed viewers may have noticed my DIY boat stands in the last episode. These stands are positioned against the port and the starboard sides of the boat. They prevent the boat from tipping over, but aren't meant to bear its full weight. I figured I'd try to find a cheap solution to build them myself. If you're not into this kind of a DIY project, feel free to skip this portion of the video. My boat stands or multi-prop braces are commonly used on construction sites to support framework as scaffolding when pouring concrete floors or roofs. They're easily to find second hand, so I picked up 10 of them for just a few euros each. I also got this U-profile steel, which I drilled and divided into 10 cm pieces each. It's time to go to work. First I removed the top support plates from the props and cut the U-profile into equal parts. From waterproof plywood I cut pads to size. But since modern waterproof plywood isn't what it used to be, I sealed the edges to prevent moisture penetration. And then I found this rubber truck bed liner, which, by some miracle, fit my wood pads perfectly. Using U-shaped nails, I secured the rubber pads onto the wood. And just like that, Bob's your uncle. Next up, I tack welded the small stoppers from the props onto the U-profile pieces. Once I had a whole stock welded up, I painted them to prevent corrosion, and now it's time for assembly. And then I reattached the stop ring and the height pin onto the props. Then I secured the assembled rubber pads with a way too long bolt and used way too much Loctite. On the other hand, instead of grinding the entire piece off, I cut a wedge out of the post. This way, I could replicate the exact angle on every stand. A bit of welding, some protective paint, and my DIY boat stands are ready to use. Now for positioning my new boat stands. I evenly distributed the stands along the port and the starboard sides and secured them with a heavy-duty strap running from one side of the boat to the other. This pulls the boat stands together, locking them against the hull. I would have liked to position them higher on the hull, but extending them too far reduced their stability and strength. For smaller boats, or a boat supported by blocks instead of a trailer, this setup would have been perfect. Since I had some extra props, I placed them vertically under the boat's rub rail to provide additional stabilization. Now, what to do with the excess strap, I hear you ask? Well, that's a great question. And here's a trucker's trick I learned. Roll up the excess strap into large loops. When you're about the loop's length from the clasp, twist the loops over the tightened strap. Roll the remaining strap as if you were wringing out a towel. For extra security, give the ratchet one final click to lock everything in place. Since the boat will be sitting out here for quite a while, I wanted to make sure that I took some load off the trailer's wheels. For this, I bought used but high quality railway sleepers made out of oak. Extremely strong hardwood that can take a beating. You can see from the cross section that they're in great condition. Now, even though each of my jacks is rated 15 tons, I used 3. 2 to lift the trailer and a third one as a backup in case something went wrong. Since I had to crawl underneath to position the blocks properly, safety is as always key, you know. I balanced the pressure between the two jacks, keeping one slightly loaded while jacking up the other. Once the first handle started lowering down on its own, I knew it was time to engage both at once. Also here, for extra security, I added a third jack as a backup. So I'm a bit hesitant using the power washer here because the soil is already so saturated. I think I'm gonna try the needle gun straight onto these on-growth and all. Well, my friends, this little test took more of my hearing than it did the paint of the hull. It took me 3.5 minutes just for this small section. If I continue at this pace for the entire hull, I'll definitely have some very angry neighbors. Well, luckily my amazing son was here to keep the morale high. He was excited to show me his progress on the galley walls. It's going to look fantastic once the entire forepeak is treated for rust and primed. His youthful enthusiasm was unstoppable. He kept working long after nightfall. The next morning, while my son was already hard at work, as you can hear in the background, I decided to check if there was any coolant left in the cooling pipes. The result? A full 5 buckets of it. Thankfully, the coolant was completely clear, a good sign that there's no rust inside the system.
I might have thought on that before we lifted the boat. That would have been like a few hundred kilos lighter. Not that it really matters for a crane that size.
And then there's the matter of these very ugly boxes. Not only are they an eyesore, but I have no clue why they're there. They were clearly welded on by a blind and a drunk welder at some point. They just had to go. No question about it. Well, it turns out they were the covers for the exhaust outlets. Who came up with that idea? With this beautiful view from the aft deck, I'll leave you for now. Next time though, we'll have a closer look at the hull and try to figure out why on earth there are 28 anodes attached to it. See you then!